Hi, welcome. My name is Dan McCluskey, and on this video I'd like to take a couple minutes to discuss what I call associative triggers or relational triggers as I describe them in my book Mind and Body Kinetics. And what this represents is a level of empowerment that happens through the pack relationship where the owner becomes objectified, and basically what takes place is there will be a moment where there's a moment of aggression that happens, and the owner feels completely blindsided and either decides to give up on their dog or seek out some sort of professional help. And again, this is where the whole issue of leadership is really important to understand, which I discuss on my other videos, how to actually solve this issue of aggression. But getting back to the whole thing with associations is this is something that is very problematic for dog owners because of the interplay of this relational interplay with the issue of being objectified. And the whole issue of power it can be very deceiving for so many people, because it's something that just is kind of like boiling under the surface. It's building over days, weeks, and months. And because of the script that's being followed, there will be relational clues. I mean, you'll see moments where you're saying, well, I know something's not quite right. The dog hasn't expressed perhaps a high level of aggression, but I just sense that things aren't going quite right. And however, and this is another issue with how emotion really gets in the way of seeing things clearly, is that typically what happens is dog owners who are becoming objectified, they're somewhat emotionally invested in the relationship to such a level where they see this possessiveness as an expression of love, because they're mirroring their emotions through the relationship. And so it really sets things in motion to not see things clearly. And so when a moment of aggression does happen, dog owners really feel as though it just comes out of nowhere, where it's actually been building up over time. And this is where this whole issue of leadership is very, very important to understand. When you're seeking out professional help, it's critical that you seek out the type of help that's going to allow relational change to happen. Because what happens is, and you watch a lot of my videos on this, is you can be going through the motions of training, but nothing happening beyond just the smoke and mirrors of this ideology that I talk about. This whole thing about learning. Can dogs learn? And what can happen is there can be a relational disconnect that happens through that. So there is a lot of very much deception. There's some things that can appear one way but can be completely opposite. And the thing is, many trainers, many behavioralists who are indoctrinated to this ideology, ask yourself a question. They fail to see it. They can't see it. Just think about what happens when when dog owners, you bring dog owners into the mix, and we talk about this whole thing with science of dog training, which I talk about at length. So, but again, getting back to this whole thing about relational triggers, it's very problematic relationally. And so even if you're a trainer, you have to be very aware that when you get this thing happening with these where the dog owner is becoming objectified, it can really present a very risky situation for any personality type that is going to be bringing influence over the dog, even at reasonable levels. I mean, this is the thing. It's not when I talk about training, I'm not talking about unreasonable force here. I'm talking about, you see these levels of challenge and resistance happen just through reasonable influence. That's where you can see that level come out. But again, the owners who are part of this relational problem, they're not perceived within a leadership role by the dog. So therefore, they're not going to be able to bring this problem up to the surface. And that's where, training, I talk about training. What is training? Training is really a intervention at the relational level. That's what training really is. And then the specifics of how to fix it. When you look at my relational model, it really does focus in on the problem itself. It doesn't, not dancing around and wasting your time. I focus in on the problem itself, so that my whole approach is probably about as positive as you can get while still creating change. And this whole positive reward-based talking points that are offered up by those who are promoting this learning-based ideology, it's totally that's all it is. It's talking points. It's meant to appeal to the emotional needs of dog owners, but it really offers no hope. Okay, that's why so many people go through the motions of training and then go home and discover nothing really has changed, because that can happen if you don't embrace dogs as the relational beings they really are. And this is where I show how the decision-making process is influenced at the relational level. That is the primary agent of change. So I would just encourage you, if you have questions, if maybe you've failed in the past, or you're seeking out help, is really look at, check out my website. I have lots of free videos that will help get your mind around this. But if you really love your dog, you really want to meet the nature needs of your dog, you really have to consider what I'm saying. I mean, because it's very much emotions play a big part in this. People get emotionally invested at a certain level, and then they see this whole issue of dominance, at least the way it's packaged up by many who promote this ideology. They're misrepresenting it. They're making it sound like a big bad evil monster, where really, that's not what it really is if you're doing it right. Okay, it's just like parenting. It's like boundaries and limits. It's very much balanced. It's a balanced approach. But the specifics of the model itself, and I'll talk about this more in my videos about leadership and the specifics of methodology, to be effective, it has to create a relational change with the owner, which results in change with the dog. So anyway, I just encourage you, again, check out my website. I have several books that are available on my website, called Mind and Body Kinetics, which really showcases this relational model, breaks it down for people to understand. And Beyond the Leash Dog Psychology Training Guide, that contains many of the techniques that kind of incorporate the relational model, and it takes you step by step through how to create change. So, and I have other options available if you live in the Florida area for training as well. So thanks very much for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope you have a great day.